конечном итоге понимание женской психологии– это не поиск различий ради различий, а способ лучше понимать друг друга. Чем глубже мы осознаем эти особенности, тем легче строить уважительные, честные и гармоничные отношения. People often talk about psychology as if it's universal, but when we look closely at human behavior, certain patterns appear more strongly in women due to a mix of biology, social conditioning, and emotional development. Understanding these patterns isn't about stereotypes. It's about recognizing tendencies that can help us communicate better and relate more meaningfully. One striking psychological fact is that women tend to have a higher level of emotional intelligence. This doesn't mean they are more emotional in a simplistic sense, but rather that they are often better at identifying, expressing, and managing emotions, their own and others. This is why many women can pick up on subtle shifts in tone, facial expression, or body language that others might completely miss. It's not magic. It's a deeply developed cognitive and social skill. Another interesting point is how women process stress. While many people associate stress responses with the classic fight or flight, research suggests women more often lean toward a tend and befriend response. Instead of withdrawing or becoming aggressive, they are more likely to seek connection, nurture relationships, and create support systems. This behavior has roots in both hormonal influences and evolutionary roles, shaping how women cope with pressure even today. Memory also plays a fascinating role. Women tend to remember emotional experiences more vividly and in greater detail. This is why a small moment, something someone said years ago, a tone, a feeling, can stay with them far longer than expected. It's not about holding grudges, it's about how emotional memory is encoded more deeply. Communication styles can differ as well. Women often use conversation not just to exchange information, but to build connection. This means they may value empathy, active listening, and validation more in discussions. When these needs aren't met, it can feel like a deeper disconnect rather than just a simple misunderstanding. There's also the aspect of intuition. While sometimes dismissed, what people call female intuition is often rapid, subconscious processing of social and emotional cues. It's the brain recognizing patterns based on past experiences and subtle signals, leading to gut feelings that are surprisingly accurate. However, it's important to stay grounded. These are tendencies, not rules. Not every woman will fit these patterns, and many men share these traits as well. Psychology exists on a spectrum, shaped by individual personality, culture, and life experience. В конечном итоге понимание женской психологии– это не поиск различий ради различий, а способ лучше понимать друг друга. Чем глубже мы осознаем эти особенности, тем легче строить уважительные, честные и гармоничные отношения. One key psychological pattern often observed is that women tend to process emotions with a high level of depth and awareness, which shapes how they interpret experiences and interact with others. Another is that women frequently prioritize connection and relationships as a central part of their decision-making and coping strategies. A third is that women often possess a heightened sensitivity to social cues, allowing them to read environments and people with notable accuracy. When we take a deeper look at emotional processing, it becomes clear that this is not simply about feeling more, but about engaging with emotions in a layered and meaningful way that influences perception, memory, and behavior. Women often don't experience emotions as isolated reactions. Instead, emotions are interconnected with context, relationships, and past experiences. This creates a kind of emotional map where even small interactions can carry significance depending on tone, timing, and underlying meaning. For example, a brief conversation is rarely just about the words spoken. It can also include how something was said, what was left unsaid, and what it might imply about the relationship itself. This depth of processing allows for a richer understanding of social dynamics, but it can also make emotional experiences feel more intense or harder to ignore. This tendency is supported by both social learning and neurological factors. From an early age, many women are encouraged to express feelings, discuss them, and pay attention to others' emotional states. Over time, this builds strong neural pathways related to empathy, reflection, and emotional recall. As a result, when faced with a situation, women are often able to quickly scan not just the surface-level facts, but also the emotional undertones. This is why they might revisit conversations in their minds, analyzing different elements to understand what truly happened beneath the surface. It's less about overthinking and more about trying to reach emotional clarity and alignment. Another important aspect of this deep emotional processing is memory. Emotional events are often stored with vivid detail, not just as facts, but as full experiences that include feelings, atmosphere, and context. This means that past experiences can strongly inform present reactions. If a similar emotional pattern appears again, even in a slightly different form, it can trigger a response shaped by earlier memories. This is not a flaw. It is actually a sophisticated way the brain uses past data to predict and navigate future situations. However, it can sometimes lead to misunderstandings when others interpret this as being overly sensitive or dwelling on the past, when in reality it is a form of pattern recognition and emotional continuity. Empathy is another major component tied to this pattern. Women often show a strong ability to place themselves in someone else's position, not just intellectually, but emotionally. This allows for deeper compassion and understanding, especially in close relationships. It also explains why emotional disconnection, such as feeling unheard or dismissed, can have a stronger impact. When emotional processing is a primary way of engaging with the world, a lack of emotional reciprocity can feel like a significant break in communication rather than a minor issue. At the same time, this depth comes with challenges. Because emotions are processed so thoroughly, it can sometimes lead to internal conflict, especially when there are mixed signals or unresolved situations. The mind may continue to revisit the experience in search of meaning or closure. This is often misunderstood as indecisiveness, but it is more accurately a reflection of the desire to fully understand and resolve emotional complexity before moving forward. Importantly, this pattern also contributes to strong interpersonal skills. In environments that require cooperation, negotiation, or caregiving, the ability to read emotions and respond thoughtfully becomes a major strength. It helps in building trust, maintaining relationships, and navigating social situations with nuance. This is why women often excel in roles that require communication, emotional insight, and adaptability. However, it is crucial to recognize that these tendencies are not absolute or universal. Individual differences always play a significant role, and many men also exhibit similar emotional depth, just as some women may not relate strongly to these patterns. Culture, upbringing, and personality all influence how these traits develop and are expressed. В итоге, понимание глубины эмоционального восприятия помогает не только лучше понять женщин, но и делает общение более осознанным и уважительным. Это знание дает возможность строить более крепкие и гармоничные отношения, основанные на взаимном понимании и доверии.